Hi everyone, my name is Cameron Maynard, and this is my video podcast reaction for week 2. I really enjoyed listening to the podcast called Top Tips for Creating Sports Content for YouTube. As a sports writer, it gave me some great pointers on how to build my personal brand through social media platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, and even X. Let me start out by admitting that I'm a sports journalist that hasn't really embraced the social media landscape as much as I should. At least not to the level of creating YouTube videos where I share my opinions on sports topics and the sports world. I'll post links to articles I type for the newspaper on apps like Facebook and X, but I've never gone to levels such as starting a podcast or embracing YouTube and posting videos of myself talking about sports there. That's something I should look into, as I'm sure it would undoubtedly help me build my brand. One of the podcast speakers mentioned that one of the reasons that people come to them is that they have a really in depth knowledge of the YouTube platform and algorithm. I find that helpful because, yes, it's important to have knowledge about it, like knowledge about the content and the topics you are choosing to talk about, but, it's equally important to know how to utilize the platform and use it in an effective way. You can't create sports content you want on there without knowing how to navigate the platform and how to use it. The speaker said he believes it's one of the reasons people come to them, so that can serve as evidence that knowing a platform and knowing it well can serve it can prove beneficial if you are hoping to achieve success in creating sports content on YouTube. And one of the other podcast speakers mentioned that having an audience first mindset and providing content they're interested in, I definitely found that helpful because it tells me that people, they won't listen to you or watch your content, and you won't gain subscribers and your brand won't grow if you don't do your due diligence in making sure that the content you put out there has quality. This means making sure you're authentic, giving your true opinion on topics, being respectful when giving your takes on topics, and not sounding biased. If you create sports content for YouTube with the mindset of simply being the best you can be, you should be fine. And that's what I plan to do. I just want to be the best I can be. I also thought the video on Introduction to Media Literacy was very informative and insightful. It opened my eyes to just how much we consume media in this day and age, and just how much the times have changed and are going to continue to change when it comes to media. One thing I thought was helpful from this video is when the guy asked the question of, what information can I truly trust? Because it made me realize that some things you see on your phone, on social media, and even through your texts, through your texts that you get, are not to be trusted. I see posts on Facebook pretty frequently that depict something happening that is truly fake news, and like he said, and really didn't happen, and people in the comments section call it out as being fake or AI generated. I even get texts from people at times asking if I want new health insurance, or saying that if I don't pay an unpaid toll road, for example, like an unpaid toll ticket, for example, that I could suffer a penalty and lose my driver's license. But most of those things are scams, or they reek of scams. And in my opinion, it's best to see if something seems sketchy or not through media before truly trusting it. Another thing I found helpful from the video is when he talked about textual determinism, because, when I receive text messages from people in the future, his advice on this will help me better decide whether or not to take a message from someone seriously and whether to respond to it or not. And it can help me make the best possible responses to them as well without sounding rude or derogatory.